Running mate revealed, Biden naming Senator Kamala Harris as his VP selection. Harris now the first woman of color ever on a major party ticket. How Biden announced the choice to his supporters. And
hello everybody, and welcome to my channel. Go ahead, hit the like, hit the share. This video, let's just talk about Kamala Harris. However you say her name. Because I notice everybody's celebrating right now that she's been nominated. Kudos to her. Psych. I'm looking like, what the fuck? But I saw this coming pretty much. And so should you have.
Suspects in California are accused of running a fake police department and put under arrest. One of the suspects even works for California Attorney General Kamala Harris. I'm 48 Hours Crime-Siders Michelle Sagona. The ruse began in January when the San Diego Sheriff's Office says various police chiefs in Southern California began to receive letters from the Masonic Fraternal Police Department. The letter said specifically that David Henry was now the chief and he was requesting a meeting with each agency. According to a press release, Captain Roosevelt Johnson of the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff's Office actually accepted a meeting with Henry, Tonette Hayes, and Brandon Keel. They showed up dressed in uniforms and said they were setting up shop in the area. All three were arrested and now charged with impersonating a peace officer. The group claims to have jurisdiction in 33 states and in Mexico. They allegedly believe they're descendants of the Knights Templar and that their group was founded 3,000 years ago. But medieval scholars say their claims are incorrect and that the Knights Templar was founded during the 12th century Crusades in Jerusalem. Their mission was to protect pilgrims visiting the Holy City, and they answered to the Pope. Some historians speculate that they were tasked with finding precious religious relics during the war.
Police report called Operation Tiberius that's been leaked to the press. It found that a secret network of Freemasons inside the police have been used by organised crime gangs to corrupt the criminal justice system. 132 in Bush, I got him at gunpoint. Okay, gunpoint, 132 in Bush, covers code 3.
It is a great day for New York City because I am proud to announce that I am appointing Bill Bratton as the next police commissioner of the city of New York. The fact is that over an extraordinary career, Bill Bratton has proven that you can fight crime effectively and bring police and community together.
Were LAPD officers involved in the murder of rap superstar Christopher Wallace, also known as Notorious B.I.G.? And if so, did the LAPD try to cover it up?
Wilshire in Fairfax, when he was riding in the passenger seat of a Chevy Suburban in this lane. Witnesses say a black Chevy Impala pulled up right next to him, and a lone gunman in the driver's seat rolled down the window, opened fire, and then calmly drove away.
8 8 years later, in 2005, a civil trial brought by the Wallace family against the city exposed evidence the LAPD failed to produce that suggests two rogue police officers, David Mack and Rafael Perez, while not fitting the description of the gunman, may have been involved in the murder of the rapper also known as Biggie Smalls. This potentially explosive evidence involves an alleged conversation between former LAPD officer Rafael Perez and Perez's cellmate in the LA County Jail. Months after
the 500-page police surveillance book was rumored as having been used as a law enforcement information sharing tool that was passed around various police departments, including Pittsburgh, Miami, Denver, and Los Angeles. The book contains a number of different kinds of profile pages. The two most common are the hider profile page and the record label profile page. The hider profile pages usually contain a mugshot, personal information such as a social security number, addresses, along with FBI case numbers, NYSID numbers, and a listing of criminal charges filed. Hider investigates drug trafficking. Few of those profiled in the book have drug offenses listed on their hider profile sheet. The record label profile pages are typically more extensive. They contain home addresses, lists of vehicles registered to the artist, frequented locations, and associates. The book groups artists together by their record labels or crews, which are listed prominently at the top of each page.
It's so low now that they can surveil anybody they want to and justify it. And then later on say, oh, I'm sorry. What are you sorry about exactly? Taking pictures of my wife, taking pictures of my kid, taking pictures of my babysitter? What part of that are you sorry about?
Good afternoon, I'm Mary Calvi.
And I'm Rob Morrison. We begin with breaking news, an almost unbelievable story. A New York City police officer has been arrested in a failed plot to kidnap dozens of women, cook them, and then eat them.
The FBI confirming the arrest this morning. CBS.
Singer R. Kelly says he threatened her if she went forward with her lawsuit.
No woman should be victim shamed, harassed, or retaliated against because she assured her rights and spoke her truth.
We are here today to let Mr. Kelly know in no uncertain terms that he cannot and will not intimidate his alleged victims into keeping silent about their allegations.
Faith Rogers appeared at a news conference with her attorney today in New York. She's one of several women interviewed for a recent Lifetime documentary about the singer. Rogers claims Kelly wrote a letter claiming he would reveal personal details about her sex life. An attorney for Kelly says the letter looks fake and the singer denies any wrongdoing. Meantime, Chicago building inspectors are scheduled to enter Kelly's Westtown music studio Wednesday to check for signs people may be living there illegally. They'll also determine if apparent renovations were done without proper permits. Meantime, a woman who spoke out about allegations of sexual abuse.
So I'm going to pick up here, because for some of the people who watched the last video I put out about the 3 men arrested recently, they're sitting here trying to defend a person's actions. And these are the same actions I pointed out last year. The problem is so many people last year was too busy trying to figure out who they wanted to sit here and link up with instead of actually genuinely supporting valid information being pushed. People keep wondering why I don't sit here and call out some things, because it's not beneficial for R. Kelly. So as we have observed clearly, considering they're trying to build a case, this is still an open investigation with R. Kelly. They're going to be using anything and everything possible, which is the same thing that I've been trying to tell certain individuals that have gone on deaf ears. The same thing I have told to some of you watching these videos that want to keep trying to stir the pot. At the end of the day, if it's not beneficial in providing the truth about what's going on, I'm not interested in the bullshit. and the things that we have observed with the online bullying, and even the women sitting by watching the bullshit, should be a clear example as to why it has been so easy for these women feminists to take over. By now, it should be clear how people such as Kamala Harris, Kim Fox, can play on the emotions of scorned women to help them in their political fields. Let's talk about some things that a lot of people have not talked about when it comes to Kamala Harris.
CIA documents deal with a project codenamed MK-Ultra. There was in it a story of a CIA experiment on an unwitting civilian who was given LSD.
You're the one on stage tonight, Dr. Olson. You're all a bunch of jokers. This has been the shift from thinking that my father's death was a mysterious suicide to knowing that it was a CIA atrocity.
This is 1975. There were a lot of questions about the integrity of the U.S. government.
By now, it should be very clear that our whole judicial system is corrupt. The politicians are corrupt. The laws are not for us. And in general, the people that enforce these laws cannot be trusted. People forget things that have happened in history. Like, for example, when the police want you, they will find ways to get you, regardless of what the situation is. And even if your innocence is very well obvious. We're talking about a system that will put laws into place just to charge certain individuals. Meanwhile, it's the same system that other people can find loopholes and manipulate the system and not see the same penalties people like me would see. Keep people such as Jake Johnson in your mind, which is the person that they originated this whole Mann Act for, simply because he was dating white women in a time period in which that was not allowed. My apologies, y'all. King just found it necessary to run through right then. But as I was saying, they enacted these laws such as the Mann Act just to target certain individuals. At this particular time period, when they thought up the Mann Act in order to charge Jack Johnson, who was a very famous boxer at the time, because he was dating white women. And not only was he dating white women, of course, they had issues with him being a good boxer. So just consider the fact that they can make these laws, they can bend these laws, they control the media, and they control all these people that are in front of us at the end of the day. When you start seeing some situations that these public figures and politicians have found themselves in, you have to stop and think about it. One thing that caught me by surprise is the fact that someone brought up this Knights Templar thing to me. So of course, like I said, I don't just run with things people tell me. I research what people tell me and look for truth in it. So as I'm researching this Knights Templar, I come across the information about these guys running this fake-ass Masonic police department. And to come to find that one of the people involved works for Kamala Harris, that sends some red flags. especially when she is the newly elected vice president. What does that say? When at the time, she really didn't offer any explanation as to what was going on, her affiliations with this person, and if she was aware of this secret organization that they were boasting so proudly of. Just being honest, when I first heard about the Knights Templar, I'm automatically thinking about people that don't look like me. So to think that R. Kelly would be involved in a organization such as that was just a little off for me. But again, to come across this little information about Kamala Harris and these people representing what they feel like is the Knights Templar does raise questions. It's a fact that there are secret societies, of course, and it is a fact that a lot of these people in high places and hold high titles are part of the Masonic order. I just find it a little coincidental that we just keep seeing a lot of this Freemasonry shit around this case. I find it even more odd that there's organizations that are impersonating law officials. What does it say when people close to you are caught up in scandal just as you are? Such as Kamala Harris's sister being tied up in the Pizzagate scandal when her name was brought up with John Podesta. If you do a little research on him, and I've shared a little bit of information on him in previous videos, but he has been linked to a lot of sex trafficking. What does it say? When you have people working for you, they do something just totally left field, and the only thing you can say is no comment. Should that be the topic of discussion when you bring yourself to the forefront to want to hold such a important position? Should people consider your involvement with another corrupt case which was so public in our face? Should we ignore all these political ties and the fact that it seems with our justice system, it's not about you being innocent or guilty. It's about who you know. And if you know the right people, you can get away with practically anything. Yet if you cross the wrong people, you will be publicly humiliated and assassinated. We have seen this over and over. And yet we keep letting these people who work for us, these politicians, come into their role, and we don't ask any questions as to what they're going to do to make changes to the corrupt system that we have such a problem with. We're around here saying Black Lives Matter. Why aren't we addressing the real issues? You got people like Kamala Harris that would agree with defunding the police. But let's be realistic. If somebody break into your house, what are the odds of you calling Bubba down the street? I don't feel like it's a privilege to be able to call 911 to help you. Everybody is not a fighter. So with that being said, what about those people if you defund the police? What about those people who are going to be left defenseless because the resources aren't available to assist them? Granted, when it comes to the issue of defunding the police, some of the funds should go to community awareness and community involvement. There's absolutely no reason why some of these officers are riding around with these nice cars, and you ought to see some of these undercover cars they have. It's ridiculous. But at the end of the day, it's time to start asking some questions, especially when the people we see being put in these positions have questionable backgrounds. What are the odds that a person running a fake police department works for Kamala Harris? And not only that, what are the odds of one of the people involved in that dying before the case is solved? And everybody knows if a defendant dies during the trial, they can dismiss the case, right? And I feel like that's one thing they have been trying to get at with R. Kelly. Number one, they have completely humiliated him over the last few decades. That will push any weak person to suicide. They will not give him his right in being able to bond out and properly prepare himself for his trial in the midst of a pandemic because of the actions of other people, as I've said from the beginning. And people want to get mad when you point that out because you're not pointing out the people that they don't like. But at the end of the day, like I've said, whether these people knew it or not, whether it was intentional or not, some of the things that they were doing were detrimental to R. Kelly's career. Some of the things that they did could have led to him being pushed in the position that he's in now. And it's very well clear that a lot of the things that other people were doing definitely pissed off some individuals and motivated them to want to keep going further and further with this case against R. Kelly. Nonetheless, it's very clear to us these connections should be questioned, especially when Kim Fox, for example, is being investigated for her corruption. And we all know that Kamala Harris was in the background also encouraging Kim Fox to drop the case against Jussie Smollett. What was so special about Jussie Smollett that he could waste so much time, energy, and taxpayers' dollars that it's okay to drop his case and even refer to R. Kelly as a pedophile as you're dropping this man's case? The nerve of these people. But then you want to sit here and keep prolonging this situation with R. Kelly, knowing that you don't have the evidence to back up these allegations. And it's very well clear. The biggest hint was when you had the person, Michael Avenatti, the convicted extortionist, tell the press that they don't need the alleged victim from the sex tape. Why don't you need him? Oh, that's right. Because you have successfully brainwashed the masses into believing this whole story, from the Aaliyah marriage to the sex tape to this new spur of allegations brought to light by this docuseries that many people fail to realize has always been available for the public to be aware of. However, certain people decided to use that now for what reason? Ask yourself. The same information about Tiffany Hawkins, Tracy Sampson, Patrice Jones, and Montina Woods, for example, has been available for quite some time. Yet now all of a sudden, it's the time to bring it to light. We want to sit here and keep talking about these non-disclosures. Meanwhile, they're sitting there talking about what they signed off on not talking about. Think about what you've been presented this whole year and make it make sense. Because at the end of the day, It's time to ask these people in these certain positions some real questions. To see people still listening to some people who have nothing better to do than sit around and look at people's posts and videos and try to find ways to manipulate the things that are being said instead of actually provide valid information. When you're listening to people who have nothing better to do than sit up and find ways to try to ridicule people and plot up on how to scam people at the end of the day. And then you got the people that want to be acknowledged as fans so bad that they will just run along with the bullshit when everything that's going on is right in your face. Everything as far as this witness intimidation shit has been right in your face for the past year. Meanwhile, many have been so distracted. And the major point that I have been trying to point out to many people is, regardless of whether these people around R. Kelly knew it or not, they were sabotaging his career. And when you got people that want to call themselves delivering information, but all they can do is cover up the real facts and misinform you, a person like me is lost at what you expect me to say. The fact of the matter is, we all know this is a political agenda. The Me Too, the Black Lives Matter, the vaccinations, all this shit is part of the same agenda. Now you can keep listening to the degenerate Billy Goat over there, or you could just start doing your own research if you don't like the real facts that are being presented. With that being said, if you don't like the content, you know what to do. Have a good